Oh, we can do one of those React streams. Oh, React.
Very strong, at least in a pub stomper way. The strategy.
So, you're watching saying Junkrat's strong. He's not. I'm not saying he's okay. So there's a difference. He's bottom tier. He's the weakest hero in the game. Doesn't mean you can't do stuff with him.
Strategies to counter him are much easier to pull off in a team setting, but who's playing in that? I think Junkrat in Overwatch 2 is incredibly fun and fits into the game very well. The first reason is 5v5 and the tank reworks. You may have always assumed Junkrat was good at dealing with tanks, but I don't actually think that's as true in Overwatch 1 as people thought. Because the truth is, having two separate tank health pools and abilities put a lot of defense in the way of his damage. At lower ranks, Junkrat was always good at spamming into chokes and hitting squishy characters who struggle to hold the hands of their tanks. So what higher players take for granted a little bit is that a big mark against Junkrat's power was tank synergy in Overwatch 1, like Ryan Zarya, for example.
Yeah, tank synergy was tough, but you
having
did
two tank health pools and two tank abilities to absorb the damage as you take space. Overwatch 2, DPS's relationship to tanks is a little bit different. Whereas in Overwatch 1, there was many characters that could vaguely look at a tank and easily work them down. In Overwatch 2, with just one tank, they've been
So, long story short, Junkrat actually got hit the hardest, besides Widow and Hanzo, who rely on headshots, got hit the hardest with the armor change. Junkrat and Pharah got a damage reduction of 30% as compared to 5%. So no, against armor, they're doing 84 damage a shot, which is really low.
And often have extra abilities, which sort of act like extra lives. Like, they'll go in, take a bunch of damage, then use their block ability, which absorbs more damage, and then in a lot of ways they usually get extra health, and then they have two healers on top of that, and with that cycle, a single tank lives forever. And the windows of time you have to meaningfully burst down a tank are actually pretty small. So
I also like how this video just shows him doing nothing.
Because of that, you have to be bringing some serious firepower if you think you stand a chance of taking down one of these tanks. And Junkrat, with his big meaty projectiles that rack up damage very quickly, has enough to even take down.
I hate people that say this. Junkrat's DPS is 128. Most other heroes are around 120. So him doing meaty DPS is actually a complete lie. Right? Because here's the problem with Junkrat. He does 120 damage every 0.65 seconds. Sorry, that's not going to be it. No, that was it. Hold on. What's his DPS? So you'd have to do, Why is math eluding me right now? So, divide by 0.65. So, here's what people think Junkrat's DPS is. Yeah, divide by 5, right, you're right. This is, everyone's like, whoa, Junkrat does crazy damage. Because if you look at McCree, he only does 140. Only does 140. Junkrat does 45 more damage than McCree. Here's where shit really hits the fan. So, if you add in the 0.65, and he takes 5 shots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now add in the reload. Now you divide it by 0.65? On. What am I doing? So his reload, I guess, what would we say? This is why I did it in an Excel sheet, and then I just had the numbers. So his average DPS is, so what, he's doing 600 divided by 4.75. So, here's Junkrat's actual DPS. Right? 126. That's his real DPS. Now, if you do someone like Soldier, I don't know Soldier's shots per second. This website's usually correct on this. 9 rounds a second. So if we look at someone like Soldier, he's doing 9 rounds a second. Which is fucking hilarious. Because remember how we said Junkrat did amazing damage? All of a sudden, you can see Soldier does as much damage as Junkrat. Right? Even just without reloads, not even taking into account of that. So what? He has 30 shots per clip? Yeah, 30. So what do you do? So we do 30 shots divided by 9. That's how many seconds it takes for him to empty the clip. So 3.33. Was it 20 times 30 divided by 3.33? Right. So this is his reload, or his damage without reload. All of a sudden, if you do okay, now we have 4.8. So now we have to do 600 divided by 4.8. So this is Soldier's real damage. Right, because that's including reload. So we look at Junkrat, right? So he does 0.65 times 5. 3.25. So 600 divided by... not divided by... Yeah, no, it was 600 divided by 3.25. So do... That is Junkrat's actual damage. So yes, Soldier does get fall off damage. But most of Overwatch is played within what is his fall off damage starts at 30? Yeah, most of Overwatch happens at 30 meters. In fact, I would say exactly at 30 meters is where an average area of attack is. 30 meters, actually, like 25. I think it's like either 20 or 25 meters is the width of Nambani. 0.1. So that's a really good engagement distance. So people that are like, oh, Junkrat does insane damage. Soldier does 1 less DPS, can headshot, and is incredibly more accurate. Yes, Junkrat doesn't have fall off. Like, Soldier doesn't get it for 30 meters. So people that say he has crazy burst damage is a lie. What he has is a combo to do 240 damage. That's the only thing Junkrat has. I don't even want to call it burst damage, because burst damage assumes a lot. Junkrat has to pull off a combo with 2 of the slowest projectiles in the game on 8-second cooldowns. And people want to compare that to 100% uptime soldier attacks. So, when my burst damage is content on an incredibly slow projectile, and yours is content on nothing, then we have a really big issue. I think the wiki said soldiers drop was after 50 meters. No, 30 meters is where soldiers fall off starts. At 50 meters, he's doing minimum damage, which is minus 50% damage. Now, if we look at Echo, this one irritates me. So what do we got with Echo? Echo. So it's 3 shots a second. What does she have? 12 shots? Yeah, 12. So she does 51 times 3, because it's 3 shots a second. And we could just do this by, I don't know why I did that. Divided by 1. Oh, that's it. That's right, because it's already... So she does 51... Well, it's 153 damage per second. That's 51 per bullet. She gets 12 shots. So it's over 4 seconds. So 153 times 4, that's her total damage, so 612. So it'd be 612 divided by 5.5. That's correct. I think I did my math there right. So with reload, Echo's DPS is 111. Now people are going to be like, see? Oh, what? Oh, you're saying no to someone else. People will be like, well, see, Chro? Look at that. Oh, with reload. With reload. They'll be like, look, see? Echo's really weak. She does 15 less DPS than Junkrat. And I'd say 15 DPS in Overwatch doesn't fucking matter. That means over 10 seconds, Echo is doing only 150 less damage. Which, let me check how much damage that is. Oh, 1 shot. Does her ammo count go down by 3 or by 1? She has... Each shot has 3 pellets. Each pellet does 17, so it's 51 per shot. She has 12 shots. So each second she shoots 3 shots, which is 153 damage. What do I think of that Overwatch video in Junkrat? We're watching it.
On the likes of the all.
So basically what I'm trying to say is everyone who says Junkrat has insane burst damage is fucking lying. They don't know what they're talking about. They're going by their gut instincts. Now, if they want to say, but Junkrat with his combo, I would say yes. Junkrat has a combo to do 240 damage every 8 seconds. That requires 2 of the slowest projectiles in the game to hit. In which case, Soldier kind of does the same thing. Right, Soldier has an ability to do 120 damage a second. And if we're saying that's the same as mine, cool. Even if Soldier just hits 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. At 4 shots, it's nearly the same damage, right? If they're headshots, it's more than that. 3 headshots plus a rocket is the same damage Junkrat does. So it's a bit bullshit.
Mighty Orisa. Junkrat's concussion mines add another DPS element to this very small window of time that you have to DPS dump to kill a tank. But also, surprisingly enough, the knockback on them is significant. Tanks have resistance against knockback in Overwatch 2, but for some reason, the Junkrat mines are powerful enough to actually move them pretty significantly, and if not with 1, with 2, you definitely can knock a tank forward so they take more damage than they expected to take. And the last reason that makes Junk good against tanks is...
So, I don't know if people know this. Are people that dumb when it comes to Junkrat? You have full air control when you get knocked up into the air. You can go whichever way you want. And in fact, if I use a concussive mine behind you, and it launches you this way, let's say, if you're actually holding left, by the time you land, it's actually going to be farther back than when you started. You actually have massive air control with Junkrat's concussive.
Is the trap. I've seen a lot of community members talk about how the trap is nerfed because you can wiggle around a little bit and jump and move slightly while in the trap. It tethers you to the ground, but you have a little bit of a freedom of movement to dodge. This means nothing to me. I think in my entire time grinding Junkrat, I've only failed to follow up a shot on a trap target once. Tossing a projectile to hit a target in a trap is not difficult, even when they're still moving. So
The funny part about this, all I'm hearing is this guy doesn't want Junkrat buffed.
I'm not sure why that's a big issue. In fact, I think the Overwatch 2 trap isn't nerfed. I think it's buffed, because the nerf part of it hardly affects me ever. And the thing to remember is that they significantly increased the rate that he throws it down, the deployment time. So because of that, when dive tanks are trying to close the distance on you, especially Doomfist, you have the time to whip the trap out right in front
He has no idea what he's talking about here.
of you and bait them into it. The thing about
The trap doesn't really activate that much faster, by the way.
the trap nerf that a lot of players, I think, forgot about is that most CC in the game is gone. So between Junk's 2 mines and a trap, as a DPS character, having this much crowd control is unheard of in the
So what people are crying about the nerf about Junkrat's trap, it's that it lost a second of disable. No one gives a fuck that people... Like, I don't care if people can move around in it. If you get stuck in it, you can get out a second earlier as some of the slowest characters. If you're a Lucio, you're a Hammond, if you're anything with increased movement speed, you get out a second faster. That's what people are complaining about nerf-wise. The fact that it activates quicker doesn't matter too much. Now, if it activated like on hit and you could throw it at people, that'd be great. But the problem with Trap is even though they said it's buffed by 20 damage, it's actually, the code's not there. It still does 80 damage. And the idea that, oh, but no one else has stuns, and your stun that's destroyable, like, that's amazing. Oh, you guys should be thankful for it. And it's like, give me a new ability.
category. And because defenses are so low, if anything gets caught in the trap, it's often very hard for there to be anything.
Also, defenses are high in this game, though. I don't know what he's talking about. From Overwatch 1 to Overwatch 2, no defense has been lowered. Right? Like, armor blocks 30% of damage now. Defense only went up. Maybe he thought, he's like, hey, there's one tank now, so there's less peel in the game. I can understand that, but for less defense in the game, no.
To save it. So I feel like I'm confirming kills in traps more than I was in Overwatch 1. That's why they felt they had to nerf it, because with one tank, anything getting caught in it is a free kill. I mean, it's very similar to Ana Sleep Dart being very strong right now. It's better than that, because you can keep hitting the target and they can't get away. Whereas Sleep, they can move if you wake them up too fast. So with the Junkrat trap being so useful, it means the positions Junk likes to play are even scarier than they were in Overwatch 1. The thing I want everyone to realize is that even to the old maps, because Blizzard added more cover to try to make you feel more safe because there's less tanks, that also makes more room for Junkrat to navigate. In the map pool we're playing so
there's more cover. Actually, there's not. In the new maps there are, but like in Route 66, there's no new cover, really.
Far. I'm finding tons of rooms and cover positions that are viable for Junkrat to create like a small hallway for him to fight out of. And if that's the case, you instantly delete squishies, making the only character
You actually don't.
that really want to go in to flush you out to be a tank, and we've already said he's good against tanks too. So if he's in position, he's a problem. I don't find it hard to find these really obnoxious corners to hold. And remember, when there isn't as many stuns in the game, there's less ways to instantly win on this type of fight. Junk's 1-2 combo of a nade and a mine is one of the strongest things in the game for this type of engagement. Like, compare it to Cassidy's old flashbang or his new sticky grenade. Stun Fan the Hammer was so good that if it hit you, you couldn't respond. That spot's done. Well, things like that don't exist in the game anymore.
I mean,
because of that,
Soldier can still kill you before you get a combo off. Junk Concussive Mine, unless you're pre-firing, a soldier can headshot you 3 times and launch a helix rocket before your projectiles can get to them. So this is just like complete bullshit. Yes, Junkrat's good on the flank. Yes, you can lock it down. Yes, if a tank comes in, actually, if a tank comes in, you fucking run. You can't fight a tank. If the tank has armor, you're going to do 84 damage to it. And you have to reload against most tanks, which puts you into like the 4.5 to 5 second category to try to burst the tank down. In which case, any tank is going to kill you.
Junkrat can really rob some crucial ground from the map, and almost nothing really.
Crucial ground from maps that have been enlarged. If you haven't noticed, check out the old maps and check out the new maps. And I don't mean like the new maps. I mean like, look at Route 66 in Overwatch 1 and Route 66 in Overwatch 2. Every single map in Overwatch looks like they grabbed the corner after highlighting it all and just stretched it out 10%, 10-15%. Everything's bigger. There's less grouping up, so denying areas like, hey guys, there's a Junkrat on the left flank. Okay, go main or right flank. Like, you can avoid them.
Wants to go fight it, which is how you would want to play him in Overwatch 1 as well. It just would do less. I think we all know by this point that mobility is a massive factor in Overwatch 2, and aggression is rewarded. While I'll admit, whenever I played Junk, I always fed into the enemy's backline like a moron, it used to not be as good. All flanks in Overwatch 2 are incentivized, because whereas in Overwatch 1, with 2 tanks, you always could kind of just pivot around your protection and the flanked looked silly. The sequel instead favors aggression, which makes characters like Genji good, and obviously Genji is better at this playstyle.
Isn't it funny that this guy's just repeating what I've said over like 4 or 5 years ago?
But when you consider Junkrat's other strengths, it's impressive that he also is kind of like Genji as well, where he can pop out of a hole to take a close range fight against your backline, and they just have to defend themselves. He's particularly good against slower supports, but even against Lucio, because Concussion Mine is so easy to hit and so fast, he can control Lucio's movement and burst him down, unlike a lot of DPS as well. Like, Genji's pretty strong, but for me anyway, hitting a Lucio reliably is pretty difficult. This is where I'd go to say Overwatch 2 incentivizes the natural flank timings that are present in a lot of other shooter games. Because of how asymmetrical the combat is, someone going aggressive and doing something wacky is much better in Overwatch 2 than it ever was in Overwatch 1. Whereas in Overwatch 1, the team...
So yes, flanking is rewarded in Overwatch 2 more than Overwatch 1, but what he's not understanding is that it's better to flank as any other hero. Don't get me wrong, Junkrat is strong, and this is the kind of the whole debate and why all this is bullshit. No one's saying Junkrat is weak. You can still do things with Junkrat, but Junkrat is the weakest right now. You can easily do everything Junkrat does with another hero and better. The only thing Junkrat has, the only unique thing, is the combo, which is an incredibly slow projectile, right? Both of them. Slowest in the game. Well, almost slowest. Sim's right click is slower. I think that's it.
Formation was very self-sufficient. With one less tank, the power...
Junkrat has a combo in vertical mobility. Problem is, Junkrat... no, he doesn't. Junkrat has combo or or vertical mobility, unless you wait 8 seconds after you throw a blinking flash or a concussive mine down. So the fact that his combo is dependent on his cooldown, which is also the mobility, is cool. Like, it's not a bad idea, but you have to understand, you're not just jumping around everywhere, concussive mining, flying through the air, jumping on people, using concussive mine again. You're all or nothing.
Power of a map flank position is naturally better, which is why Genji and Lucio are good, but in the same way, I think it makes Junkrat good. You have to scout where he is, and he can make that expensive for you to do so. The characters that are best at flushing him out can still be punished by him, and then if you don't flush him out, well, the flank timings can utterly catch you out. Partially, this could just be my experience on the character, but I also think Overwatch 2 allows for a lot of picks to function this way, where you get in position, you find your matchup, you're gonna get value on any character that can do those things. I would just take it one step further and think Junk is uniquely good in Overwatch 2 because of the amount of damage he can do in a very short amount of time.
Again, outside of the combo, Junkrat's DPS with his primary is the same as every other DPS. Soldier has the same DPS.
It's hard to replicate that unless you have pro level aim. That's the thing I think people forget about. It's like we're all shooting less tanks overall. So much so that often it's not even worth it to shoot the tank. So you need to be able to hit small targets with whatever character you're playing. While top tier aimers will hit Junk as he barrel stuffs them. I'm interested to see how high of a rank you can get to with this playstyle before people reliably punish you with just pure aim. And I think it's a lot harder than people realize. Piecing together parts of his playstyle.
They're gonna look, if you just barrel stuff as he said, it'll get you far if you can be sneaky about it. But yeah, it's probably gonna take you to Masters. Actually, who am I kidding? It'll probably take you to Grandmaster, but as soon as the good players are there, you're going to get hard shut down.
Junk has the mobility to get into these positions, the mobility to jump out, the damage to burst things down without a lot of instant, easy answers to punish it, like stuns. I think when you add all that up, you can see how the J Silly wackiness really takes form, and he has the flexibility to take a lot of different fights, because most importantly, he can keep it on his terms. I did also want to...
He can't. What that just said right there was complete bullshit. Junkrat cannot fight on his own terms. The only way he can do that is if he gets to the flank before you and then stays in it. He can pick his own terms if he's already there in a defensive setting. It's not... Because the way he phrases it makes it sound like it's a tracer. Like, oh, I can pick my battles. I can go wherever I want. You can't do anything about it. If you can concussive mine into the air against a good player, you're dead. That's it. You are dead. Once you get into the top 500 with Junkrat, if you show your face around a corner, you're going to die near instantly. You have to use cover. You have to outplay people tremendously to get anything done or sneak up on them. If anyone has good sound, you're dead.
I want to mention that I pulled out Junkrat in the creator pickup game I was involved with, where we 2-0'd Yeedle's team. The first map playing Bastion and Junkrat, just hard focusing Yeedle on tank. And then the second map, Yeedle went over to Soldier, who I just don't think has a good matchup against Junkrat whatsoever, because Junk just dive bombs him and one-hit kills him and never gives Soldier the fight that he wants at medium to long range. There's probably a team diff here as well.
This guy's smoking something crazy. That right there, that line right there, Soldier can't deal with Junkrat, is insane. It is fucking mind-boggling that he even said that. Soldier is one of Junkrat's worst matchups. Undoubtedly. Whenever you're a strong mid-range player, you will dunk on Junkrat. Mid-range is Junkrat's weakest area, and if you just quote-unquote jump on him, I hate to break it to people, and I told this to Fitzy, when Fitzy was doing his like, oh, these are the tips against each hero, and he's like, these are the tips against Junkrat. Once he comes out of mine, like, oh, he's going to use double mine to get out of spawn, and I was like, Fitzy, mine doesn't actually get you out of spawn that much faster. And he's like, oh, well then you get back to mid slower if you don't use that. Like, I'm gonna wait on you to use your concussive mines, and if you use them, I kill you. And if you don't use them, well, good luck getting the mid on time. And it's like, guys, you know Junkrat gains like a half a second to get the mid faster with double concussive mines. Soldier sprinting is faster. Reinhardt with charge is faster, right? Reinhardt gets the mid before Junkrat. Soldier gets the mid before Junkrat. Of course, Lucio does. Of course, Doom does. How about this? Sim gets the mid faster than Junkrat with teleport. So, man, this guy is...
also had Stylosa
I knew this guy didn't know what he's talking about, but it's pretty bad here.
on Soldier, and that's one of his best characters, so we had a pretty easy time on DPS, I think. But just from watching how I'm able to take these engagements against Soldier, there's not many characters, I think, that want to take these fights against Junkrat. You need to bring some serious burst to not get deleted in close range, and even if Junkrat himself isn't the one securing the kills, oftentimes the concussion mine to knock an enemy into the sky is enough for your team to follow up too. There's just less
Tire's actually
defenses
broken on this
overall.
point.
So Junk's disruption plays carve up the map, delete things, interacting with basically everything. When some of these other characters get nerfed, I'm willing to bet that the community is going to want Junkrat nerfed, whether high-ranked players think he's good or not. The only thing that like stops him from being good is if you're inconsistent with some of his abilities, but even when
It's a slow projectile. It's inherently inconsistent. Don't be like, well, you can fix that. You can't. Like, once someone's about 20 meters away, I would actually say 15 to 20 based on human reaction time, they can actively dodge your shots. It has nothing to do with skill at that point. It's like, Junkrat's theme is inconsistency. That's why Concussive Mine's a big AoE to help him to be consistent and finish off weaker heroes. That's why Trap locks things down. Right? So you can hit people and it can help your inconsistencies.
when I struggle with him, I feel like it's a skill ceiling issue, not the character is not capable of making the plays I want to make. Like sometimes when I go in to dive bomb someone, I misjudge my aim and don't land.
I like how his entire fucking basis on why Junkrat is good is because he can concussive mind jump at someone and kill him instantly. As if they have a Lucio and you get booped, you're dead. First of all, you're just dead if they have people that are egg. Ana can 3-shot you by the time you go up into the air and land. Like, that's how long it takes Junk. It's not like a... It's... If they're expecting you, or if they know you're there, you're toast.
And the combo and just end up feeding because of it. I had a 10-minute battle against a Mei where me and her couldn't hit a projectile to save our life and nothing happened. This is probably the most embarrassing Junkrat gameplay I've ever had, which I think is what people foresee when you try to think he's a good character. Like, what happens if you just whiff and the enemy dodges you and you don't deal any meaningful damage that whole time? Well, the thing is, in this exact game, despite that failure, I was able to turn the game around, and we're going to end up winning this round, mainly because I think when you feel Junk's not being consistent for you, just remember to take a little bit more time aiming, as funny as that sounds. Don't just flail out your shot.
It's funny because, you know, before this video, everyone talked shit on Junkrat that it takes no skill. And it's funny, it goes 5v5, now it takes skill? How the fuck does that happen?
Like, actually try to predict where the enemy's going to go if they are dodging you. Spamming's good around corners and at range to look to soften something up, but when you're in these dive bomb scenarios, you just have to really line up the shot to make sure that you land the combo. Otherwise, yeah, Junkrat is a useless character. The other way to help that be consistent is to make sure not to waste your mines. And a lot of my gameplay, it might look like I'm just constantly jumping across the map, but I try to only do that if I know I'm jumping into a safe location, taking some key map control, or if I'm confident in the duel I'm about to take, I'll be able to hit the grenades and not need the concussion mine follow-up, which usually isn't the case. Like, the mine is really what makes the entire character for Junkrat. When you start to add up all these strengths, I'm struggling to see why I should think Junk is just a straight-up bad character. It turns out a lot of the buffs they gave him to compete in Overwatch 1, I think make him quite easy, maybe even too easy to play in Overwatch 2.
What buffs? What buffs is he talking about? Junkrat's only received nerfs in Overwatch 1. Unless we're talking like OG, he got a second concussive mine? His grenades are faster? Okay, those are the two buffs. When Junkrat's damage got increased to 130, that's an 8% damage increase, they nerfed his ult by 10%. And then they took his damage away to 120, and they didn't revert the ult nerf. Yeah, he got faster shots, but they're smaller shots. And if we're going for other buffs, like, we're talking Season 2 type shit. Like, shit that only I was the only Junkrat around playing during that time.
I haven't decided yet. Sometimes it's hard to notice this, right? Like, jumping into the beta as a Lucio player, I'm like, oh my god, Overwatch 2 is the greatest game I've ever played. Or wait, is it just because the hero I'm good at is overtuned? That's how I feel about Junkrat right now. He's very similar to Lucio and Genji and strong for similar reasons, and just has surprisingly good interactions with the rebalance of the game and the plays I think the sequel is incentivizing you to make. I mean, I for one accept our new Junkrat overlords. I will not complain if it's just me who feels he's really strong and I terrorize my way through ranked solo queue. It may also be the balance state as well. Because characters like Orisa and Soldier are seeing a lot of playtime, Junk's actually surprisingly good against them. So
what the fuck is this guy saying?
it might just be a counter meta pick that is seeing outmoded impact, and Junkrat's dive bombing playstyle just counteracts those characters that are otherwise strong against what most other people are playing. Maybe Flats won't be convinced. He plays at a much higher level than I do, and I do suspect Junk will be figured out by the better players and they won't fall victim to his shenanigans. But for the rest of us, though, I think I'll keep rocking the J-Sill. Well, that's everything for today's video.
All right. Look, I've never liked your Overwatch. Frito, this guy, he's always been garbage with intel. He's always been garbage with this shit. But this has to be his dumbest fucking take yet. He says some things that I've said in the past, but this is utterly fucking ridiculous. His entire video is you can jump at someone, land and burst them and win. Or if you don't jump at him, you can hide in a flank and win. Now, hiding in a flank, get this, guys. Get fucking this. You want like a 500 IQ play? The flank Junkrat he's talking about, I've played that for an entire season. That's what I used to do. I used to play Junkrat in different methods of play for entire seasons. I would play long-range Junkrat for like... Actually, it was the old season, so it was like 2.5 months. And then I would play a very close Junkrat for 2.5 months. And then I was like, all right, there's actually 2 seasons I did 2 different types of flanking. One, I flanked, and I would stay in the closed-in area, and I would shoot from that. And I would harass from there. And then the next season, what I did is, I would take a flank, I would pop out around the corner, do a combo, and by the time the combo detonated, I would already be running away again. And I would essentially just play like that, where they would try to attack me, and if they didn't see me, there was no chance they're going to get me. Yes, that gameplay still works, but you can pick another hero and do the exact same thing. You can pick Soldier and basically burst people down very quickly. You can pick Reaper if you want to just, as he says, barrel stuff people. It's funny, Reaper does more damage than Junkrat with barrel stuffing, and he gains health, and he has a teleport, and he has Wraith Form for sustain and getting away and all this other shenanigans. The truth is in Overwatch, and I've said this for years, is you can play any hero and get the top 500 with it. It doesn't matter how strong or how weak they are, you can do that. That's a good thing about Overwatch. The problem is that there's other heroes that just outclass you in every shape and form. Not that, these heroes that get outclassed are weak in the sense of they can't do anything, but they are the weaker than all the other heroes. That's where Junkrat's at right now. This video is just... I feel like... So, Frito's usually... He has no idea what he's talking about when it comes to balance. And I wish me and him could sit down and I could straighten him out, because I've literally written papers on this shit. Like, I take design seriously and I look into it. I've pretty much predicted Overwatch 2 from 5-6 years ago. I said the exact things Overwatch 1 was designed and built on and why they're wrong and how to fix them. And that's Overwatch 2. But this is probably the worst take I've ever seen on Junkrat. Now let's see what is going to be
genius is finally recognized.
the next worst take. Is I'm going to scroll down. Yeah. Thank you, Tartha, for the sub for the 53 months. Yeah, I'll post this on Overwatch. I'll post this on YouTube. Holy fuck. This is probably the worst take I've ever seen on Junkrat. He has no idea what he's talking about in Overwatch, and he has no idea what he's talking about in Overwatch or for Junkrat.